Well, in just in terms of this sort of random thoughts and sort of like opening thoughts, if you will, I think I mentioned this on the last episode, the last episode, The Last of Us. Jesus Christ. Uh, I had quoted or I had coined this sort of like phrase where I felt like The Last of Us wakes you up from the gaming coma that many of us find ourselves in. And what I mean by that is, slouch back into the lazy boy, sort of mindlessly progressing through a game that you mildly enjoy. And I feel like a lot of us do that, whether we believe it or not. There are just so many games that they're all right, and there's enough of a hook to kind of keep you going. But The Last of Us kind of commands you to pay closer attention, and to sort of sit up more straight and maintain a sort of nervously straight posture, and to actually feel like, feel something from a game for once. And that was really kind of what happened to me once I kind of got my sort of teeth sunken in.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's very easy to become complacent with a game and just kind of get into a routine with it. And this game certainly keeps you on edge and wakes you up and kind of forces you to really focus on what's around you. And, even when it's not super intense, like, maybe you're not in a tense area where there's, a lot of fighting going on, but you're in an open area where there's a lot of places to search. Like, you have to be alert to try to find all those goodies that you need to survive in the game.
Yes, there's a lot of goodies. And man, I mean, another takeaway was like, I've just never felt so tense while playing a game before until I played this game. And there were other games that made me feel that way, like Silent Hill, Resident Evil 4, and even Metal Gear Solid, because this is truly not only a survival horror game, and I stress the word horror, because this game is terrifying, but it's a stealth game in a lot of ways too. Like, you really are creeping around here. This is no Rambo execution.
Yeah, I don't remember being so stealthy the first time I played this game. I don't know what I was expecting, but, it is super important to stay low, stay behind cover, use misdirection tactics, and, try to get stealth kills as much as possible, if for no other reason to save your ammunition for when you really need it, because ammo is scarce.
Very.
Yeah, I never realized just how much stealth was an integral part of the game.
I had no idea.
Yeah,
absolutely no idea.
Around. And that wasn't really an aspect of the game that I recall being discussed very often.
Yeah, and that's exactly another big like random thought for me is like when I really kind of got into the game and I was experiencing everything, I had suddenly realized, wow, like there's just so much of this game that I just had absolutely no idea about. Like I usually at least know to an extent like what you're doing in Bayonetta or whatever game it may be, but with this one I was genuinely surprised, and I guess I did a really good job over the years just avoiding gameplay because I just had no idea. I knew about the crafting, but I didn't realize that you'd be crafting a shiv, and then once it's used you have to kind of craft another one.
Yeah.
I just wasn't aware.
So I mean, was that micromanaging of crafting goods something that you kind of enjoyed as being part of the game? Did you find that it added any layers to things?
I did. I think it's a really good question. I think it adds to the level of intensity that's already there from this idea, or not really idea, this reality that you're just being hunted, 90% of the game, which also I didn't really know about. And with the crafting abilities, it forces you to craft meticulously and in a selective way. You don't want to waste it on like a Molotov cocktail when you might need a shiv for that certain situation, or maybe you want to upgrade your melee weapon. I can tell you right now, I did not use many of the projectiles, like the bricks and the bottles and stuff. I didn't really use those as much because I honestly, like, I just preferred kind of going up and sneaking up behind them and not stunning them first. That was just me.
I found myself using those items quite a bit. I would use them as misdirection tools to kind of, either get the Well, I mean, it worked well with both the zombies and just the regular, people that you're fighting as well too.
Mm-hmm.
But the one of the things that I liked about the way they did set up the controls was that when you're holding one of those items, it kind of like automatically locks onto the enemies if you're
Yes.
close enough. So throwing a brick at somebody and staggering them, I felt was a great way to kind of give you the best of both worlds, because you can be stealthy, you can kind of catch them off guard, run in if you're close enough, and do a melee attack rather than get into a shootout with somebody.
Sure.
So that was a strategy that I employed a lot, and plus with the brick too. If you're holding the brick, that thing was like a really well suited melee weapon in itself too. you know.
You could use it as a melee weapon?
Yeah, if you were holding the brick and you got into a fight, you could swing the brick, and it would cause damage.
I love that. Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah, so that was a lifesaver more than a couple times too.
Well, you can tell they put a big emphasis on the projectiles because they're fucking everywhere.
Yeah,
they're absolutely everywhere.
Yeah.
And I ignored them. Like once I got into like mid game, I'd say like in the beginning, I was like, all right, I see what's going on here. I could, make a sound kind of like Metal Gear style where you throw like a magazine or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was just personally something I just didn't really bother with.